Greetings, my prince, greetings. Come in, do come in. You must see the shipment of artifacts just come down from the north. A treasure trove, my boy. I cannot wait to bend myself to the task of examining them. See here, an Acheronian scepter from Hyboria, taken as plunder in the Hybori's war to toss down that foul empire of sorcerers, no doubt. And here, a saga from frozen Vanaheim, all fresh from the caravans that come through the border kingdom. Ah, what is that, my boy? One moment, you there. Careful with that. Ensure they are stored according to the index, or I shall have your hide. Now then, come, my prince. Let us speak away from such bustle. What did you have to ask of me? The border kingdom. Ah, yes. I suppose it is a land fresh on the minds of the court in the wake of your father's declaration of conquest. In truth, it is a land of little influence, rarely spoken of when it comes to the politics of the wider world. And yet, it is a place of unrealized import, and a land where caravans flow freely around the stifling trade tides of Nemedia. Allow me to tell you more of it, my prince, so that you may come to know the wider world. The first thing one must come to terms with in regards to the border kingdom is that it is not a kingdom at all. Indeed, the border kingdom is just a name, a semantic label applied by generations of travelers to the strip of land that divides the savage north from the more civilized kingdoms to the south. In truth, the border kingdom has many small polities, most of them barely capable of describing themselves as city-states. The land itself is barely worth the dirt it rests upon. Most of the country is dominated by a trackless, fetid marsh. Only the western reaches of the border kingdom make for good farmland. And yet, this harsh terrain is part of what helps to set the border kingdom apart. The land acts as a buffer between the barbarian states to the north and the lands to the south, preventing raids from lands of Nordheim, Hyperborea, and your father's home of Cimmeria. The trackless, unforgiving swamp makes the border kingdom quite difficult to conquer and govern, which in turn has kept the land in a state of almost constant lawlessness. It is a country of petty tyrants and local warlords, a place where bandit kings and robber priests hold sway. It would be futile to attempt to name the dozens of independent groups that exist within the border kingdom. How best to illustrate to you the nature of the kingdom, my prince? I struggle to elucidate upon it the way I have in your past lessons. There are no great cities in the border kingdom, no mesmerizing landmarks like the Palace of Messantia or our own capital of Tarantia. There is no one god that holds sway over the others, no one law that stands above any rival. It is a land where the strong can do what they will, and the weak will suffer what they must. Armed groups of mercenaries wander the land, offering their services to petty local rulers in their meaningless squabbles with one another, or else preying on the small folk as little more than bandits. Would-be tyrants rise and fall across the border kingdom every day. Your father has had a hand in throwing down his own fair share of them. There are a few local groups which are stronger than the others, and some towns have managed to develop themselves into fair-sized cities. The city of Alcarion is capital of the province of Falcar, the westernmost land within the border kingdom. Your father had dealings with the local ruler there, helping to support her against her enemies. Ravengard is another of the more developed local polities, a thriving trade center through which caravans regularly pass. Remuda is the liveliest trade town in the border kingdoms and another city that your father had dealings in. He clashed with the Baron Vigizak there, deposing that despot to seek vengeance for the death of King Conan's friend. Besides these 3 places, the largest base of power within the anarchic border kingdom is the Temple of the Dragon. The temple is home to a band of robber priests which regularly send out patrols to extort the local populace. They collect money, food, and esoteric relics that have been plucked from the swamp. Once more, your father clashed with this group in the wilder days of his youth. He was a soul of wildfire. This is for certain. Perhaps that is why he found himself drawn to the border kingdom so often in his wanderings. It is a lawless land where a man of strong will can follow his own heart where it leads. Our good king lent his sword to many causes across that land. There is good work to be had in the border kingdom, serving as a mercenary or guard to the many caravans that crisscross the region. And trade does indeed crisscross the border kingdom, despite its lawlessness and its harsh terrain. The border kingdom offers a tempting way around the heavily regulated trade routes of Nemedia, more dangerous though they may be. Many merchants chafe at having to pay Nemedian tariffs on their goods, and the border kingdom has always offered a way to circumvent them. Trade is the true lifeblood of the kingdom, and the warlords of the land vie with one another to dominate its course. Indeed, even your own father has decided that the trade of the border kingdom is vital, and this is why that land has been dancing upon the court's mind. Your father has recently declared that the border kingdom is open to conquest. He intends to add that land to the burgeoning Aquilonian Empire. It is the only open route west that is not controlled in some way by the dragon to our east, and for that reason alone, King Conan seeks to incorporate the border kingdom into Aquilonia. The richness of the untaxed trade that flows through the border kingdom could help us to finally gain an edge against our long-standing rival Nemedia. This is an edge that your father craves, and he has offered the chance for mercenaries and soldiers of Aquilonia alike to prove their might by seizing the land for the lion. Some few have already bent the knee to our throne. Your father's ties in Falkar have led them to accept our rule, and Ravengard soon followed. It is only a matter of time before the entire border kingdom submits before our might. There is more to the border kingdom than the petty powers that squabble to profit off the trade flowing through the land, my prince. The border kingdom is an old place, even if its Hyborian past is the most recent of the continent. The mighty empire of Acheron once dominated the land, and many of their cities dotted the area. Ruins from that ancient fell nation of sorcerers still stand empty, haunted places that beckon to the greedy and the adventurous. There are many eldritch secrets to be found there, and thus it attracts many who are seeking sorcerous power. It is common to find esoteric magical trinkets flowing out of the border kingdom in the holds of the caravans passing through the region. The fate of Acheron dominated the country even after its fall. Many of the people living under the shadow of Acheron's black towers were slain or enslaved by their Hybori foes, which left the border kingdom the divided, fractured land that it remains today. The marshes that dominate the country hold many secrets and are home to ruins containing eldritch, esoteric relics that are sought after by sorcerers the world over. A large region of the swamp in the southeast of the country is dubbed the Haunted Land, and it abuts the Great Salt Marsh, the largest part of the swamplands in the border kingdom. It is a place stalked by demons. Myth and urban legend say that there are many treasures hidden away within the haunted land, but few who go in search of them ever return. People tell tales of the walking dead, of ghosts that steal away the soul, of strange lights that lure the unwary to their doom, of vampires, hobgoblins, and beastmen. It is a cursed place, hostile to the living. Your father passed through the haunted land when he tracked the White Hand, the group that once kidnapped you, my prince, spiriting you away to Hyperborea. He contended both with the foul demons of the haunted land and with the beastmen of the Great Salt Marsh in order to reach you. The beastmen are primitive, degenerated creatures that once, perhaps, could have called themselves human. Now they are covered in shaggy fur, little more than filthy, bipedal animals that dwell within the Great Salt Marsh, feeding on crayfish, snakes, and other foul things that crawl through the muck. They sometimes form raiding parties to harry the villages of more civilized folk, carrying away the women into the night and stealing anything of value. It is a wonder that your father was able to make the perilous journey to Hyperborea with enough time to save you from the predations of the White Hand, my boy. But make it he did. He was able to surmount the vile terrain of the haunted land and the Great Salt Marsh to come to the Skull Gate in time to save your soul. The Skull Gate is a rough-hewn, primitive fortification that guards the main pass between Hyperborea and the Border Kingdom. It was erected in order to act as a barrier against marauding Hyperboreans coming down from the north, but the truth is that it is a rarity for the gate to be manned. Sometimes a local Hyperborean warlord or erstwhile border prince will seize the Skull Gate in a show of authority and force, but these garrisons rarely last long. Oftentimes, they are driven away by the harsh cold of the mountain pass and by militant fighters from the other side. In truth, there is not much more to tell you in regards to the Border Kingdom, my prince. It is a lawless land, where rough people live violent, often short lives. The trade that flows through it is a source of wealth that, if tapped, could help to catapult our nation to sit astride the world. And yet, the land itself seems to conspire against those who try to tame the wilderness. Perhaps your father's efforts will at last bear fruit, and the light of Mitra's order will come to the Border Kingdom. Adventurers have hearkened to his call from across Hyboria, and the mighty legions of Aquilonia prepare to move into the kingdom in force. It remains to be seen just how the Dragon of Nemedia will react to our... Blast you, cursed whelp! Be careful with those relics. They are worth far more than your life. I am sorry, my prince. You must excuse me. I have much to attend to. Please, return to me upon the morrow. I will tell you of our great rival Nemedia. It is high past time you came to know the dragon at our east, my prince. I say, blast you, inept fool! Apologies, my boy. I shall speak with you again soon. Until we meet again.